In the opulent halls of the Sterling mansion, where crystal chandeliers cast rainbows across marble floors and servants moved like silent shadows, young Alexander Sterling lay motionless in his custom-built bed. Born into unimaginable wealth as the only son of billionaire tech mogul Victor Sterling, Alex had entered the world not with cries of joy, but with a silence that shattered his father's empire-sized dreams. Paralyzed from the neck down due to a rare congenital condition, Alex's life was a gilded cage. Doctors from around the globe had poked and prodded, promising miracles that never came. Victor, a man who built fortunes from silicon and code, poured millions into research, but nothing could make his son's limbs stir. Alex, now 10 years old, watched the world through wide, curious eyes, his mind a whirlwind of imagination trapped in a body that betrayed him. Little did anyone know the key to unlocking his prison wouldn't come from a lab or a checkbook, but from the unlikeliest of places, a rundown orphanage on the city's forgotten edge. Across town, in a neighborhood where potholes scarred the streets and hope was as scarce as fresh paint, lived Mia Gonzalez. At 9 years old, she was a scrappy bundle of energy with tangled dark hair and a smile that could light up the dimmest alley, orphaned young after her parents' tragic car accident. Mia bounced between foster homes before landing at St. Mary's Home for Children, a crumbling building sustained by donations and the sheer will of its overworked staff. Money was tight. Mia wore hand-me-downs that hung like sacks on her small frame, and meals were often just rice and beans. But what Mia lacked in possessions, she made up for in heart. She spent her days helping the younger kids, telling stories to chase away their fears, and dreaming of a world where kindness was the greatest currency. One crisp autumn morning, during a rare field trip funded by a local charity, Mia's path crossed with Alex's in a way that would rewrite both their stories. The charity event was Victor's idea, a lavish Hope Gala at the mansion to raise funds for pediatric research, complete with celebrities and gourmet spreads. Victor, ever the strategist, invited underprivileged children from local orphanages to inspire the guests, turning their hardships into photo ops. Mia arrived wide-eyed, clutching a worn notebook filled with her doodles and poems. While the other kids marveled at the fountains and finger foods, Mia wandered off, drawn to the quiet wing of the house where Alex's room overlooked manicured gardens. She peeked through a half-open door and saw him, a boy her age, surrounded by machines that beeped softly, his eyes fixed on a book held open by a mechanical arm. "Hey," Mia whispered, slipping inside uninvited. "What you reading? Looks boring. Want me to tell you a real story?" Alex's eyes widened in surprise. No one ever just talked to him like that. The nurses treated him like fragile glass, his father like a project. But Mia plopped down on the edge of his bed, unfazed by the tubes and monitors. She spun tales of imaginary adventures. Pirates sailing through city sewers, dragons nesting in abandoned factories. For the first time in years, Alex laughed, a genuine bubbling sound that echoed through the sterile room. Victor, alerted by a servant, stormed in ready to scold the intruder, but paused when he saw his son's face lit with joy. "Who are you?" he demanded. Mia stood tall, chin up. "I'm Mia, and your son's cool. He just needs a friend, not all this fancy stuff." Victor, intrigued despite himself, allowed her to stay for the afternoon. It was the beginning of an unlikely bond, one that would unearth secrets buried deeper than any fortune. As weeks turned to months, Mia became a fixture at the mansion. Victor, seeing how she brightened Alex's days, arranged for her to visit after school, even providing transportation from the orphanage. Mia brought handmade gifts, drawings of them as superheroes, stones from the park she claimed had magic powers. Alex, in turn, shared his world through voice-activated tech, reading her stories from his vast digital library and teaching her about stars visible from his window telescope. But beneath the surface, Mia noticed things others missed. Alex's paralysis wasn't just physical, it was emotional, rooted in his father's relentless pursuit of a cure that ignored the boy he was now. Victor's love was conditional, tied to fixing what he saw as broken. Mia, with her street-smart intuition, began to question the narrative. "Why do all these doctors say the same thing?" she asked Alex one day. "Like, maybe there's something they're not seeing." The turning point came during a stormy evening when Mia sneaked into Victor's home office, her curiosity piqued by overheard whispers from the staff. While Alex napped in the next room, she rifled through drawers, her small hands trembling. What she found shocked her to her core. Medical files, not just on Alex but on Victor himself. Buried in the documents was a truth long suppressed. Victor's own mother had suffered from a similar condition, one that could have been mitigated with early intervention, but poverty had denied her care. Victor, orphaned young and rising from rags to riches, had vowed never to let money fail his family again. But in his obsession, he'd overlooked an experimental therapy trial from years ago, dismissed because it wasn't prestigious enough. The files revealed that Alex's condition might not be entirely congenital. A prenatal complication, exacerbated by Victor's denial of alternative treatments, had sealed his fate. Mia's heart raced. This wasn't just a medical oversight. It was a father's guilt masquerading as control. Confronting Victor wasn't easy for a girl like Mia, who knew the sting of rejection all too well. But the next day, as rain pelted the windows, she marched into his study, files in hand. "You have to see this," she said, her voice steady despite the fear. Victor's face paled as he read, memories flooding back. "How did you—" he stammered. Mia didn't back down. "Because I care about Alex, not about being right. He's not a problem to fix, he's your son. And this trial? It could help, but only if you let go of your pride." Tears welled in Victor's eyes, a vulnerability he hadn't shown in decades. In that moment, the billionaire crumbled. Admitting his fear of failure had blinded him. He hugged Mia, a gesture as foreign to him as poverty once was. "You're right, little one. Thank you." The emotional climax unfolded in the weeks that followed. Victor, humbled, enrolled Alex in the overlooked therapy, a combination of stem cell research and holistic rehab, funded quietly to avoid media frenzy. But the real transformation came from Mia's selfless act. She convinced the orphanage to let her spend summers at the mansion, becoming Alex's unofficial sister. Her kindness sparked a chain reaction. Alex, inspired by her resilience, pushed through grueling sessions, his first twitch of a finger coming during a game of checkers with Mia. "You did it," she squealed, tears mixing with laughter. Victor watched, his heart thawing. Realizing wealth meant nothing without humanity, he established a foundation in Mia's name, providing scholarships and medical aid to underprivileged kids, turning his empire into a force for good. As Alex took his first assisted steps months later, hand in Mia's, the mansion echoed with cheers. The poor little girl had uncovered not just a medical truth, but the shocking reality that true strength lies in vulnerability, and kindness can heal what money cannot. In the end, Alex and Mia stood together on the mansion's balcony, watching the sunset paint the city gold. Victor joined them, a family forged not by blood or billions, but by the power of a selfless heart. And in that unity they found hope, a reminder that in a world of divides, one act of compassion can bridge them all, inspiring us to look beyond our circumstances and embrace the humanity that binds us. For every paralyzed dream, there's a Mia waiting to set it free, proving that the greatest miracles are born from the simplest truths.